Once your model is complete in the correct scale and ready to be laser cut, go ahead and select everything and duplicate it, such that in case you make a mistake, you can just go back and restart, and you won't have to rebuild the entire thing. So I'm going to start by pulling off walls and making them lay flat just by rotating them. It's very helpful to have orthographic on, so down here next to planar and grid snap ortho. That way you can just rotate it 90 degrees and it works perfectly. But all of the pieces have their own space now. Go ahead and go to perspective. In order to get this roof part to lay flat, what you want to do is rotate it to where it's standing on its end. Get a single line and choose one of the corners to move it straight out in orthographic view down here. And rotate. Select, line up with the line, delete the line, and rotate it 90 degrees. Now you've got a wall that lays flat. I'll explain the hole later, but basically, so concerning the hole and see how it's slanted, you can't get the slant cuts with the laser cutter. So I'm going to do the biggest size cut. I'll explain the whole part of this and the slanted cuts later. But for now, go ahead and go to stairs. You want these to be separate because there's two separate ones, and go ahead and pull your stringers out like so, and you can rotate them all at once, and the two stringers underneath the landing, you want those out. So now everything is separate. Select it, Control C to copy, and go ahead and download the Laser Rhino template under File for Print in Canvas. Download this, open it up, and you'll get to here. Go ahead and put in your name. And then go ahead and turn on the 1/8 or 1/4 MDF. It's the same piece, and it'll show up here. Now with your copied selection from this file, you can copy it over to here, and it'll be extremely big, but that's fine. Now it's time to scale it down, so go ahead and click this, holding shift. So now it's time to scale it down because it's obviously way too big to be cut. So holding shift, press the dotted line, and do 1/4 scale. And then, because that's the scale you're going for, and then because it was in feet, you're going to do 1/12 scale to get it down to inches. So this is 1/4 in inches. Now you can start aligning things by using the material boundary, but in order to use the material boundary, be sure to keep that 1/4 border, so offset by 0.25 of an inch. And take this box, you can move it over to the side and move. Start moving things into the corner as you see fit. So these are all my walls. Does this fit here? It should, yep. And it looks like I can fit this one here. Oh, no, so I'll rotate it, fit it like that. And that just fits perfectly. Alright, that's cool. That doesn't fit there, but I can find a better spot for it. This looks like it will fit pretty good here, like that. And then this one is kind of awkwardly shaped, so I'm going to try and fit it there. We'll see what happens. This one, can it fit there? Nope. And remember that pieces, borders can touch. Like this piece and that piece can be the same border. So be sure to not have pieces, like let's say you have this one. Don't do that. Make sure that it's lined up. One thing to note is that if you do have really thin pieces, like you need a space here, this is probably too thin. So if you do distance between these pieces, it says 0.018. You need at least 0.063 inches. So that's way too thin. But you can move it, and if they're overlapping and they're on the same line together, that is perfectly fine. Having thin pieces, there's a greater chance of the piece actually burning, and that is not what we want. So be sure to make sure your pieces are laid out either touching or far enough away that they don't burn. That honestly looks like a good spot for this piece. So if I can get this closer, maybe like that. And then this piece can go here, maybe. Cool. I can rotate this one to there. That works. These two pieces also work here. Oh, perfect. And here. Right? They fit? Yeah. And then let's try and fit bigger pieces in first, just because it's easier to fit smaller pieces in later and then bigger pieces in first. So I'm going to rotate this over, move it. That won't fit there. Will it fit here? Yep. So I'm going to actually rotate this around because I don't want to waste too much space. And then this piece can probably fit here. Yep. Can it fit up here? No. That's good enough. I'm going to move this here. Rotate it around like so. Get it up here. This piece as well. It's kind of hard to fit these triangle pieces, but that's fine. I'll find a spot for them. Is there a piece that fits in there? So this one maybe? No, almost. So what if I move it down and then this piece can go here? That doesn't fit. What if I inverse it? Sometimes it does require inversing. Yeah, there we go. Which is fine, it just means that the burnt edge will be on a different side. I know I can fit all these in. So I'm going to move this over. Move. Let's see. There's a lot of space over here. I'm going to try to... what if I pull this out and this one and fit this piece in this corner like so. Oh, like that. And I have stairs left and those two pieces, so it's really a puzzle from here. What if I inverse this? Move. And like that, there we go. And then I still have this spot left over, this spot's left empty. Yep. So I can go ahead and stick these. Actually, see, I almost messed up there. Your steps, because I'm making my steps 1/8 of an inch, they will go in a different file. But I do want these to be 1/4 of an inch. So these, the nice thing about stairs is that usually you can rotate them. The nice thing about stairs is that usually you can rotate them and they'll line up. That doesn't look like it'll line up, does it? Move, but because we have 2 floors, you can do that sort of thing. There we go. And then move. That's weird. I don't think I've ever seen that. Alright. Well, go ahead and turn off ortho if you want these to be vertical. And they don't need to be exactly vertical because there's enough space in there otherwise. But you can move these into place. So I know there's a hole here, so that's fine. And this can go here, if it fits. Which it looks like it should. Oh, I'm sorry. This is 1/8 inch. Remember that your stairs, or whatever you want to be, is 1/8 inch. Once you have everything made and put together nicely, this will be 1/8, so it will be a separate file. Be sure to delete this outline, select everything, and make 2D. This is the best command ever made. It'll create surfaces, or it'll create lines. Make 2D will create lines of the objects, and this way you won't have any overlap because everything will be its own individual line, which is really nice, except for when there's a group, I guess. Alright, so sometimes this will happen and you'll have a group and a curve. Go ahead and look through them because you don't want overlapping lines, and groups are really annoying. So let me try it this way. So go ahead and pull out your Make 2D, select everything, ungroup, explode, and cell dupe. So once you've selected duplicates, you can delete them because that'll get rid of all the duplicate lines and everything will cut faster. Okay, cool. Okay, so once you have all of your pieces laid out, you know this will be 1/8 inch. This is your 1/4 inch sheet. You can delete your outline that you don't need anymore, select everything, and make 2D. You want to make sure that it's C-plane or view. It doesn't really, I don't think it should matter, but I just like C-plane. And from output layers, or by output layers, tangent edges, scene silhouette. You don't want the rectangle. Group output, unselect. Register with previous, that's fine, because that'll just mean it'll put it on its Make 2D layer. So go ahead and click OK. And then you can drag it to the side. Now, there are duplicate curves, so a very important step to do is cell dupe. Use this command to get rid of duplicates. It'll cut down the time it takes for your file to cut, meaning there's a better chance of your file being cut earlier. So go ahead and cell dupe and see how many duplicates there are. Delete. There's 800 or 108 curves deleted. And so now everything's just a single line. It'll work, and it won't burn your material, and everything will cut properly. So go ahead and select everything, turn it to blue, change object layer, and you can go ahead and delete this because you don't need it anymore. You have this, and get rid of the Make 2D, delete layer, get rid of the 1/4, you don't need that, delete layer. And this is almost done. Don't forget to select, excuse me. This is almost done. So as I was talking earlier about this, because this is a slanted piece and you're going to sand down the edges, you want it to have as much material to sand down as possible, just so if you make a mistake, you can fix it. So I'm going to go delete this inside line and then this outside line, as well as these, and then connect them with single lines in the blue layer. Now for your interior cuts, go ahead and select all this. Basically what yellow does is it cuts yellow first and then it cuts blue. So if you have if you have a bunch of tiny steps like this, you want all the inside lines to be cut first, because the piece may move by a little bit and your pieces may be off once it finishes cutting. But strategically select interior lines. It's fine if some of them overlap, or it's fine if some of them do touch scrap pieces or exterior pieces, but generally select some, because you don't want all the lines to be cut at the same time. I like grouping it this way. It's not necessary. Sometimes you don't have to. For these, I'm going to group the stair steps like so, and then make that interior. I will go ahead and make this interior as well. And any lines that are close together, I recommend making that interior just so they don't burn. So like that. And then that line would probably be good. This line, this line. Cool. Be sure to alternate if they're really close. But this looks good for now. Go ahead and line it up. Move into the corner, and that's 1/4 inch. Cool. You can go ahead and submit this. I expect this one would take about 20 minutes to cut. It's 1/4 inch MDF. 20 minutes sounds about right. And then these steps, once you make 2D in a separate file, you can take them, cut them with 1/8 MDF with a scrap piece. Just select scrap or bring a piece of scrap to the laser lab, and have the lab techs cut 1/8 for you, and you're done. This can just be all blue, and you can select every other line to be yellow, like so. Oop. Delete these, you don't need them. These can be yellow. And because I didn't do this earlier, you can cell dupe, or cell dupe, there we go, delete, and this will be ready to go. So this is 1/8, put this on a separate sheet, and you'll be set up. For exporting this, go ahead and click File, Save As, click DWG, and go ahead and name it with today's date, and then underscore your name. And then save. And then you'll want to click OK. Otherwise it might show up. And then in the file for print module, go here and upload it, because you'll have an upload button. Just a few things to note when exporting this. Make sure that you delete all the layers that you didn't use, or that you won't be using in the file. So go ahead and delete the Make 2D layer, and you can go ahead and unlock these. That'll make my life easier. You can save that or close that file. Make sure everything is on its correct layer. So blue lines are here on the perimeter layer, yellow lines are in the interior perimeter. And because what might happen sometimes is that this line may be colored blue, but it'll actually be on a different layer. So make sure that your lines are colored correctly and they're on the proper layer. Concerning red and green, let's go ahead and just place a random line here. If I wanted this line here, this will laser engrave a line, not that deep, it'll be very light, and it would be just as a reference line or just as an art detail. Same goes for green, it'll be a little bit heavier, but not by much. And between the white laser and the red laser, it varies, so be aware of that. If you want something cut specifically and you know which laser does which kind of cut, be sure to ask the lab techs to cut it on that laser. Concerning magenta, currently I don't think it works, so try not to use much magenta. If you do, use cyan. Cyan works, and it doesn't cut that deep, so don't expect to be able to interlock pieces by using cyan. It's just a means of engraving an image or some sort of surface into the MDF or whatever material you're using. And then stairs, that's a layer that I don't need, so delete layer. And this should all be what you're submitting. I know with Rhino 8, sometimes it'll delete the layers that you're not using. So be sure to have all of them selected and all of them unlocked. And that should be good. So this is my final model. I completed it with one sheet of 1/4 inch MDF, which is $5. And it will turn out something like this. Quarter inch scale. So good luck with your model and have fun.